Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Right School Matters podcast, where we dive deep into the world of K-12 education and tackle some of the big questions and critical topics that help shape our nation's schools. My name is Paul Monteperto, and I have the privilege of serving as your host. And so whether you're thinking of moving or currently looking at different schools, or simply want to better understand what makes a great educational fit for your children and your family, this podcast is here to help guide you and empower you because we believe that when it comes to our children's future, the right school does truly matter. This podcast is sponsored by Family to Family Relocation and Real Estate, your experts with schools and homes, and whose mission is to partner with families and help them discover the best fit educational options for their children when relocating to a new area or searching for a new home. And so today we are privileged to have coach and teacher of Campbell High School in Smyrna, Georgia, Mr. Daniel Hazard. Daniel, how are you today?
I'm doing very well. Thank you for having me on, Paul.
Hey, man, I'm pleasure's all mine. I'm super happy that you're here. It's been a while since we've connected, and I do appreciate you taking the time out of your busy schedule to jump on here because, as you just shared, father to a new little baby at home. Congratulations to you and Hillary. What are we, 3 months now?
Yeah, so Penelope, by God's grace, I think she's at 4. I don't know how the wives do it because I'm like, well, we're getting closer and closer and closer to a year.
Yes.
So I'm not so good with the math end of things.
Gotcha. Well, congratulations to y'all.
Thank you.
That's wonderful. Today, Daniel, I'd love to just dive into a couple of different topics in education. It really stems from a philosophy that you have embraced, not just about your career in education, but in life in general. And we're going to dissect that. But before we get to that, if you don't mind, just take a few minutes and share with our listeners and our viewers a little bit about who you are and what you do at Campbell High School.
So, as Paul mentioned, I'm a teacher here at Campbell High School. This is my first year, but my second time coming back into Cobb County. I started originally in my career path coaching college football at Shorter University at Division II level, found my way to Officer Candidate School at the United States Marine Corps, supply teacher at Paulding, jumped over to Pope, and then Mount Perrin for 3 years, and then coming back into Cobb at Campbell High School and have really enjoyed teaching marketing. Right now, I'm teaching marketing principles and marketing and entrepreneurship. And then on the side, I'm coaching football and enjoying that. And then I'm a DECA co-sponsor where our kids basically get to employ their professional leadership and employable skills and get a chance to compete versus other schools in the county, the state, and internationally. So I've been doing this now education-wise close to 10 years and then coaching somewhere along the lines getting close to 15 years in total. So I've been in private, public, college, high school. I just love serving kids and getting a chance to uncover their talents. So
Awesome. Thank you, Daniel. That's and you modestly said on the side, you're a football coach and DECA sponsor. I know that that's not a side hobby. That is a big part of your world. It requires a lot of your time and effort and thoughts and energy to do all of that. And I know that you enjoy it because it's all focused on the kids that you're serving every day. And so thank you for your service there. And thank you for your service in the Marine Corps too. We appreciate that. Daniel, there is a statement that I grabbed off your LinkedIn profile that it knocked me on the floor when I had to go back and read it a few times when we first decided we were going to do this. And I just love it. And I want to spend most of our time on today's episode, really just kind of going through it and allowing you to explain some of the pieces so that, our viewers, our parents, our families, teachers, school leaders who have a chance to watch and listen to what we have to say today can really walk away from this with something, a nugget that they can take away and maybe apply to the way they serve their children in their school or their community or their children at home. And so I'm just going to read the statement and then we'll kind of go through it. The statement says, Your words, I am committed to fostering excellence as a daily choice and lifelong pursuit. My philosophy blends strategic thinking, tactical empathy, and a heart for service, emphasizing leadership development, entrepreneurial innovation, and impactful communication. Whether guiding students, athletes, or teams, I strive to inspire growth, cultivate integrity, and create environments where individuals can excel both personally and professionally. Does that ring a bell, Daniel?
Yes, it does.
Yeah.
So just to unpack that, everything that I stated has come across throughout my experiences. And the first thing I ever heard God really tell me clearly is, do not take an opportunity to do something totally and entirely new,
Right.
because I'm going to grow and mold you and shape you. That's going to be most impactful for other people. And every new avenue, whether it's been teaching entrepreneurship at Mount Parent Christian or being a special educator at Pope High School for both IRR and both self-contained, all the things I've gleaned from Marine Corps Officer Candidate School has all culminated into this one thing. And my biggest prayer was, God, give me a key to every kid's heart on earth. I just want to be able to have access to open it and to communicate with them. And then years later, it transformed to give me a key to every adult's heart on earth, to where I can open and I can converse. And it's all culminated into all those things. So when I start talking about strategic thinking, everything goes to me on a holistic basis, because every person is different. Every parent is different. Every
Sure.
parent parents their kids differently, even their children. And I thought about that. And within special education, there's this word called differentiation. And it's all about how you get all these kids to basically achieve results, but progress more importantly, and meet their needs in different ways. And every person ticks differently. And you have to be strategic about who that person is, where they're coming from, what are their life experiences. And you have to figure out a way to connect with them. And what I feel like God's given me an opportunity to do is, in some way, shape, or form, I'm either that person, I know that person, or I've experienced certain people that way. And it's just culminated in all this of this certain dialect to speak to them, to get them on their way, to uncover their talents, find out what they're passionate about, find out what God has given them, and to go about a plan.
Yeah.
And with innovative thinking, it was the same thing in entrepreneurship. It was, how do we go about making a process better? How do we go about making a person better? And how does that ultimately affect the end result of the good or product being sold, or the person putting themselves out there?
Yeah.
But everything culminates on one thing: I cannot teach anything I am not.
Right.
And I
Good way of
realize
saying it.
and I realize with tactical empathy, my dad got me onto a book and my brother got me onto a book by Chris Voss, and it was called Never Split the Difference. And he's a hostage negotiator with the FBI. And I gleaned a lot from that book. And what I took away from it that was most important to me was, he'd never ever believed in an argument or a debate. He believed in collaboration. And I ultimately think whenever we're communicating with people, we really want a collaborative effort. Everybody is asking for help, but they ask for it in different manners. And it's our job to find out how to go about asking tough questions, but without necessarily trying to put too much fluff, but just getting down to the root of the matter. And when you're doing special education and you're in all these different IEP meetings, that's how it is. You got to figure out how to get to the heart of this parent, and how to have us all see, like, okay, what's really going to help Johnny achieve great success, and how we're going to cultivate his learning, and how we're going to go about really building y'all up and building Johnny up.
Yeah.
So,
And I would say, Daniel, sorry to interrupt, but that is the most critical aspect of being in an IEP meeting, is having somebody present who can focus on the heart of the matter. Because unfortunately, there's a lot of rules and regulations and guidelines and, all of those different things that can really cloud and muddy the water, to where the shift of focus can easily go away from the child and onto the the various other aspects that are trying to be accomplished in that. And so that is very, very well said. You mentioned tactical empathy.
Mhm.
Define that for our viewers and listeners, and what does that look like um, in your world when you are working with both the students, and you also mentioned working with adults and your influence on adults.
Yep. So with tactical empathy, it's all about asking the right question at the right time and teaching it to my students, because it's one of the elements I like to teach them, is how to go about conversing with other people. So when it comes to tactical empathy, one of the things that we implore is, listen, if there's any issue with another person in class, first let's perform the accusation audit. Let's go ahead and take that off the table. So talk about all the things you might have not done and how it may have been perceived towards that audience as being a negative thing for them to experience. And list it out there. At the worst, they're gonna nod, and at the best, they're gonna go, "Yeah, that's how I feel, and yes, that's what you did." Now we all have an understanding. Now, right after that, we can go ahead and begin to say, "Okay, I apologize, but this is how I was thinking," and then you can begin to navigate through that conversation a little bit easier. Now you don't have two opposing fronts, which right now you have one collaborative effort, because the fact that you were able to list it for the other person to agree with, we're in agreement about something.
No, thank you for sharing that. I there that can change the entire culture of your classroom, of an entire school, by simply applying the principles of what you discussed. And it's not rocket science. It's just the choice. The way I'm reading it, it's the choice that we make to put humanity first, to put the heart of people, to put people first, and then bring in all the other things that we're trying to accomplish, and that is our instructional delivery, our achievement, and all of that success, whether it be in the classroom, on the football field, or wherever that might be. And so very, very well said. When I shift down to that last statement, you mentioned working with students, athletes, and teams to inspire growth, cultivate integrity, and create environments where individuals can excel both personally and professionally. That last part of the statement, describe an environment that you strive to create that helps individuals strive to become, to excel both professionally and personally. What are the elements of that environment? What are some of the things that you're focused on? Can you talk a little bit about that, Daniel?
Yes. So at the end of the day, I tell my wife this, and I tell my students this. I want you to be your authentic self. And I need that, because I don't need you to have a mask on, because there's going to be so many issues and problems that arise that we're going to need to get down to the root of every issue. And so with that being said, I need people to, one, know that they're always going to feel respected in that environment. I want them to feel seen. I want them to feel heard. I want them to feel valued. And the best example I can probably provide is with my daughter. And she's in, that 2-year-old stage where she's asking questions, and there's a lot of, we call them big feelings, because she doesn't know how to navigate through that. And one thing I'm finding out is, for 2-year-olds and even teenagers, there's a lot of big emotions that come, and people don't know how to handle that. And I need them to feel safe in that environment. I need them to be able to feel heard. I need them to know that they feel valued. I need the humanity part to be there, because without the humanity part, there's going to be nothing that we're going to be able to achieve other than just problems. And so with that being said, I've realized on all the teams that I've ever coached or been on, it always started with, be the best version of yourself. And it just starts with having integrity, loving people on where they are, and just allowing them to have those seen, heard, validated points. And they go above and beyond. I just got done talking with a couple of students, and one of the young ladies asked me, she goes, "Do you do this for every class?" And I said, "Yes." And she said, so it's the same way, no matter which level that we're on, this is how you're going to go about organizing the classroom. So I structure leaders in my class because I realize when I build leaders, they embody what I am. And seeing that example and seeing it demonstrated, which I found out in learning, I think its demonstration is about 50%, 50% of learning and understanding, that it's able to help my students who would be shy and quiet to come out a little bit easier and be themselves and be able to interact a lot easier. And these are, post-COVID kids from middle school. So there's a lot of deficits in everybody's classroom with the post-COVID kids, right? But I'm noticing in creating this environment and establishing, hey, you can come up and talk to me. I want to hear about your day. I want to hear about how you're doing. And then remembering who they are,
Right.
remembering what they told you. That humanity portion is huge.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
and it
Well
really
said.
does cultivate it.
Yeah. Yeah. I think, like I said earlier, it's just a choice that teachers or school leaders or schools make as far as who they are going to choose to be and what their focus is going to be on. And I've been in that world. It's easy to get distracted or caught up in all the stuff, which isn't unimportant, but there's just a pathway or stepping stones that you can create about what you focus on first. You mentioned safety and security. We all know that children can't learn or have a much more difficult time truly learning when they're in environments that they feel unsafe or insecure. And so, when schools and teachers are willing to put that first and ensure that there's trust and safety and security, then all the other things that they're trying to accomplish are going to be accomplished at a much higher value, much higher potential because they've chosen the safety and security of their kids first. And then, of course, the culture, and expectations that you embody with leadership principles and things of that nature. That's awesome. Man, I'd love to come watch you teach, dude. Campbell's lucky to have you.
I'm grateful to be here.
Yeah, sure. So Campbell High School, located in Smyrna, Georgia, and is this your second year there?
This is my first year, so I
This
just
is
hit my 6 month
okay. So
mark.
first year there,
Yeah.
working in the with marketing classes and more of the business department, and things of that nature. Tell us a little bit about Campbell High School. What are some of the good qualities, the strengths that people would want to know if they're considering Campbell High School for their child?
So one of the first things that I noticed about Campbell when I interviewed and when I came into the building, and it was the same thing with my dad when he was finding schools in Cobb County for us when we moved here from Rhode Island, was when you go into the lunchroom and you look out into the lunchroom, you see a sea of people who are from everywhere. And in a globalized world where people are going to have to know different cultures, ethnic groups, languages, Campbell offers all of it, even socioeconomically. And you get a chance to understand different walks of life. And I really believe Campbell's diversity is one of its biggest strengths because a lot of these kids are going to take it for granted. They're going to go out into the real world and they're going to work maybe for a Fortune 500 company, but they're automatically going to know in the back of their head, the person that they're talking with and where they come from. And some people are going to be amazed by this and go, well, how did you know this about, how did you know that? And they're just going to know. And I think that's one of their best strengths about Campbell is the diversity component because I'm bumping into kids even from like New Jersey, Chicago,
Yeah,
California, everywhere. And I'm learning things like that are totally brand new to me. And I'm going, I went to, Sprayberry High School and it was like a melting pot. But Campbell is just, as somebody told me, they're like, it is just a bigger animal in terms of everything it offers. And there's never a dull day.
yeah,
And these kids, oh, they're so gifted. And because so many different entrepreneurs are coming to this area, you have so many entrepreneurs, kids who are walking through the school wanting to do this job, that job, this job. We also have the IB program here,
right.
right? So with IB, we have kids who might be from different parts of Cobb County, and they are traveling like an hour into school. And IB program's awesome because, you know, they're working on an international minded educational platform, and they're also getting prepared for college.
Right.
But like I've had students who are freshmen applying to schools and getting in, and then all of a sudden their admissions place is going, "Hey, you're not supposed to apply this early," but and I'm going, "No, that's good. You get on the radar. You get on the radar." So,
That's ambitious for sure. Yeah.
oh yeah, and now it's awesome for me as an educator and a coach because I really believe that coaching and education are the same in terms of you're always pushing excellence.
Sure.
And it goes back to my statement of excellence is a choice. It's a choice to put your kid on that bus, to come over here to be a part of the IB program. It's a choice to wake up early. It's a choice to eat right. It's a choice to study hard. All of these things are choices. And when we make these choices, we live in freedom, and they become excellent skills and habits, and they have residual effects, and they have a great return on investment. Our principal, Dr. Watkins, she's a go-getter. She is a go-getter. However, it's going to help our kids grow. However, it's going to help our community change for the better. She's all on board for it, and she's processed. I told her early in the school year, I said, I have to come by your office. She goes, for what, Coach Hazard? I said, I have to interview you. I have to interview you, and I need to pick your brain because just the way that you go about it, she's in the community. She's talking to the mayor. I mean, I see the stuff that she does. And then this was the thing that knocked me off my rocker. So we had Spanish Heritage Month here, and she gets on the PA system and she's speaking fluently. And I'm going, that's Dr. Watkins. So then I see her in the hallway and I go, Dr. Watkins, where'd you learn that? She's like, oh, I'm Panamanian too.
Oh, wow.
And I just, wow.
No idea. Yeah.
And I went back to my classroom, was like, you see, kids, you see who you got representing? Right. And
well, that's a good point because we know that it all starts at the top.
Yeah.
You know, the influence of success and accomplishment starts with your leadership. I mean, that's been my experience. And, you know, if the values that Dr. Watkins exemplifies is what you all identify yourselves in, and you either choose to follow suit or you don't. And if you don't, you're probably not going to last too long. You're going to end up looking for a different place to go. And so that's important. You mentioned the word choice earlier when you were talking about the choices that people make to come into that area or to, you know, choose Campbell High School. Ultimately, we are the products of our choices, right? I mean, starting from birth all the way up, obviously gets a little bit more complicated as we get older, but that really is the mission and basis of this conversation, of this podcast, if you will, Daniel, is this desire to help parents and families understand that you have choices when it comes to selecting your school. And so that and school choice, in my opinion, as we kind of look ahead to the future, is only going to become more readily available for more families to utilize, to select schools that better identify with their family's values, or having programs that best support their kids, and so on and so forth. But listen, I'm looking at the clock. And time is flying by. And there's something I want to get to before we end our conversation, and that is shifting away from education and talking about the community in which Campbell High School resides, and that's Smyrna, Georgia. And so for folks who may be listening or watching and are not familiar with Smyrna, Georgia, I'd love for them to hear a little bit about it through you, Daniel. And so having an opportunity to work at a school in Smyrna, Georgia, I'm sure you've gotten pretty familiar with some of the area there. And so is there a favorite restaurant that you have in the Smyrna area that's you love to go by and shout out?
So if I'm going to go anywhere in Smyrna, I'm going to go to Rev Coffee.
Yeah.
Rev's Coffee.
And there.
It is. I don't even know if the term is feng shui, but I know,
man.
yeah. And going there, I had I had, my cafe mocha with whipped cream and everything, I had to have it. But their pastries, their vegan, organic, gluten-free options, they hit every need that you want to be able to consume. And then just the environment. Because I originally went there when I first interviewed, and I get to go out there with my co-advisor, Miss Lewis, and just being able to kind of experience Smyrna from that coffee shop was awesome.
If someone who's visiting Smyrna has never been there before, outside of grabbing a cup of coffee at Rev Coffee, what is something, an activity or somewhere they should go to experience something fun and exciting that's a part of Smyrna?
The Battery.
I knew you were going to say that.
The Battery,
Yeah.
the Battery, and obviously I'm
Yeah.
biased, but
Go
I
Braves.
enjoyed taking my daughter, right? Go Braves.
Yeah.
I'm originally a Red Sox fan, but I'm slowly becoming more of a Braves fan. And it's convenient, right? Because just able to go there, and Hillary and I, we went up there a couple of times this summer. We didn't even go inside to watch the game. We stayed out on the little green
Yeah.
lawn. And we even took some of our students over there because they had an escape room. Didn't know they had an escape room
Yeah.
there,
I do.
but went there, and it was such an easy commute because I'm thinking about coming from East Cobb, driving from my mom's, or I'm thinking about coming from Powder Springs or Kennesaw or Ackworth, and it's the Georgia far of like 30 minutes,
Sure.
but with 10 to 15 minutes, I kind of look at Hillary and be like, hey, we just park the car at the high school and basically almost like walk there, Uber from there. So it's so
Yeah.
convenient. It's so easily accessible. It's like a 5-minute drive from here.
Yeah. No, the Battery's awesome. I'm glad you mentioned that. And I highly recommend anyone coming in the area, whether you like baseball or not,
Right.
to experience the restaurants, the vibe, the multiple activities there are to do. Very family friendly as well. For kids to enjoy a lot of the things there too. Well, Daniel, listen, we are just about out of time. And so I just want to say thank you. I really appreciate you. I appreciate all that you are doing at Campbell High School for the students, and your colleagues, to setting a great example for the type of teaching and influence that we want to have in today's classroom, in today's culture. And so with that said, is there any parting words from you for our listeners and our viewers?
Be prayerful about your choices. And I would say always look at the lunchroom. Can you see your child sitting down in the lunchroom? And to just weigh those things into consideration when you're thinking about schools, and where do you see your kid in that lunchroom?
Well said. Well said. Thank you, Daniel. Appreciate you. Folks, thank you so much for joining us on another episode of the Right School Matters podcast. We are here to help educate families and parents about the variety of options available to them for educating your children. And Daniel said it well. Be prayerful about your choice. There's a school out there to best serve everybody, no matter what your lean is academically, socially, emotionally, or what your values are. And so with that said, we wish you a great day and God bless.